Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Bismillah, assalamu alaikum warahmatullah, Cheikh. All praise, assalamu alaikum to the family. Juma Mubarak, Cheikh. How you doing this evening?
I am well, Sheikh. How are you?
All praises, Allah is great and the greatest of all, inshallah.
Yes, sir.
All of love. Sheikh Awo, assalamu alaikum, beloved. Sheikh Sadiq, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, brother. Wa alaikum salam, Sheikh. Wa alaikum salam to everyone.
All praises, brother Rashad. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh Sufi. Assalamu alaikum, beloved Sheikh. Just joined us. Inshallah, Sheikh Mound Builder. I was waiting to see if Sheikh Far was opening up for you this evening. If not, then I can get it started for us, inshallah. Unless Sheikh Sufi wants to get it started for us this evening. Of course, all praise. Astaghfirullah. You there, Sheikh
That
Mound
would be
Builder?
magnificent, brother.
Astaghfirullah, I mean. Inshallah, we'll just do this weird of the butterfly this evening, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah.
God is. Assalamu alaikum, great Sheikh. How you doing, Sheikh?
It's probably better if Sheikh Mustafa does opening because in North Philly on the block, it's going to be some distractions. Y'all heard that motorcycle?
Yes, sir. Good to see you, Sheikh.
All praise is due to Allah. Me and Brother Sadiq Bey in the building.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. All praise. It's good to see y'all, Sheikh. Y'all all praises. I mean. Inshallah. We're to the butterfly this evening. Astaghfirullah be He to open us up. May Allah forgive us for all sins known and unknown. Committed yet to be committed, everything in between. Ya Allah, we repent from all sins that we've committed, yet to be committed. Everything in between, Ya Allah. Ask that you continue to raise the station of our Sheikh, Ya Allah, protect him always in his travels in this life and the next, Ya Allah. Increase his nur, increase the station of our Darrah, Ya Allah. Continue to unite us, gather us, Ya Allah. We thank you, Ya Allah. Thank you, Ya Allah. Astaghfirullah. Ya Allah, this evening we ask you bestow your knowledge on us, Ya Allah. Rabbi's in the ilm, Ya Allah. He remove us from ourselves, Ya Allah. And we only see you, Ya Allah. Astaghfirullah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Astaghfirullah bihi. Be a Sheikh Zulu. Be a Sheikh Evil Fall. That is Jeff. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik ala Sayyidina wa Maulana Muhammadin wa alihi wa sahbihi wa taqabbal minni wa jikal karimi kali ta'iban ilayka bi astaghfirullah bihi. Astaghfirullah al-azim wa atu ilayhi min zawahidin wa min ghayub. Astaghfirullah al-azim wa atu ilayhi min zawahidin wa min ghayub. سألته بهاك وجه الله مغفرة من جملة المناهي تبت له من جملة الصغائر مع الكبائر ومن دمائر غافر لك في كل ما تقدم وما تأخر وما بينهما فهمني علما وزدني علما وعملا وأدبا وفهما ربي لك في العلوم نافية واجعل حياتي من شك إيمانيا اكشف لي الأسرار وغوامدا يا خير من كشف سرنغمدا لجمع جميع ما تفرق لدى كتي من الكري وصافي الكلدا لكل دا تفاكر الأعظم يا ربي بيكون والتسيما كلاميا ربي بيكون والتسيما كلاميا هبلي يا أكرام في التلاوة خيرا كثيرا منك والحلاوة بارك لي اللهم في حياتي واجعل فؤادي وتنا حياتي أبلي كوني بشرى كل من ياتو وليز واحرة أبن ما يلغيو استغفر الله كابلا نكون به تائرا من الذنوب وما آسي ولا فاتي ولا طلعت كلا جنة لاتي وإذا متكم برحمتك يا رحمن يا رحيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Fatiha 4 times, inshallah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Billahi minash shaitanir rajim. La hawla wala quwwata illa billahi wa huwal aliyyil azim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta alaihim. Ghayril maghdubi alaihim waladdallin. Amin. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta alaihim. Ghayril maghdubi alaihim waladdallin. Amin. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta alaihim. Ghayril maghdubi alaihim waladdallin. Amin. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta alaihim. Ghayril maghdubi alaihim waladdallin. Amin. All praises, and the wind blew an angel in. All praises. Salam alaikum. Happy in the class. Salam alaikum. All praises.
Like a salon.
I'll hit you later.
Alright.
I mean, astaghfirullah. All praises. My brother from the Darrah, inshallah. They're the judge. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Salatul Fati one time, inshallah. May Allah open up all doors of success, prosperity, and abundance, and close all doors of negativity and treachery and fear in our lives, inshallah. Astaghfirullah. 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 Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Al-Fatihi lima uglika wa katimi lima sabaka nasir laki bilhaki wal hadi ila siratika al-mustaqim ala alihi yaka qadrihi wal miqdari al-azim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim. 66 times, inshallah. Bismillah. Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, 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 Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim. Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, 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 Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Rabbi ma yasra'u lasana karfa ja'a bijahi abdali manalahi kalaja'a. Bismillah amdili rabin kabrimi la sharika lahu wasadriya yomanu ransati amala'a. Ahmadun salawa tulahi fi abadin alayhi fi isbihi kulibihi kala'a. Athu ila iladi yamak mawahibuhu li jumlatil kalki mayaktaru man bara'a. Najaytuhu jala'a wa man waka rahmani takbi mahadin wa kuli milagan bari'a. Rahman wa bijami yakaki rahmata man yubni anishuri man kurana ukura'a. Hut umatal mustafan kuli masadatin mutaha milk al-kaya man jadun bada'a. Ya Malik Amuki ya Manjala Ankawadini Ham Jamia Wara ya Hadi Yamada'a. Ya Malik Amuki ya Manjala Ankawadini Ham Jamia Wara ya Hadi Yamada'a. Ya Malik Amuki ya Manjala Ankawadini Ham Jamia Wara ya Hadi Yamada'a. Ma Halta Makanal Kalamindarari Mijay Yaftali Manalahi Kalaja'a. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ya Latif Ya Aziz 66 times, inshallah. Bismillah. Ya Latif, Ya Aziz, 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 Ya Latif, Ya Aziz. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahu Latifu bil ibadihi yazuku man yasha wa huwa al-Qawiyyul Aziz. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ya Hayyu Ya Qayyum 66 times, inshallah. Ya Hayyu Ya Qayyum, 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 Ya Hayyu Ya Qayyum. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ayatul Kursi. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahu la ilaha illahu al-hayyul qayyum. La takutuhu sinatun wa la naum. Lahu ma fi samawati wa ma fil ard. Man da ladhi yasfa'u indahu ila bi idnihi ya'lamu ma baina aydihim wa ma khalfahum wa la yuhituna bi shay'in min ilmihi illa bima sha'a wasi'a kursiyuhu samawati wal ard. ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم آمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Ya Wadud, Ya Allah, 66 times, inshallah. Ya Wadud, Ya Allah, 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 Ya Wadud, Ya Allah. Ya Wadu, Ya Allah, 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 Ya Wadu. Ya Allah, Ya Wadu, 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 Ya Allah. Ya Wadu, Ya Allah, 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 Ya Wadu, Ya Allah. Jeff Cheikh Sufiba. Jeff Cheikh Sufiba. Jeff Cheikh Sufiba. Jeff Cheikh Sufiba. Stop. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. La ilaha illallah 66 times, inshallah. There is no being worthy of worship except Allah. Allah is the only reality. Jeff Cheikh. La ilaha illallah, 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 La ilaha illallah. 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 La illallah. La ilaha 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 illallah, 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 la ilaha Cheikh, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah. 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 La ilaha Cheikh. Deep breath, who, 7 who's, inshallah. Salatul Fatih. On time to close, inshallah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad al-Fatihi lima ublika katimi lima sabaka nasir al-aki bil-haki wal-hadi ila siratika al-mustaqim ala alihi haqqa qadrihi wal-miqdari al-adi. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Salamun ala mursalin. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Barke Serene Salihu. Barke Serene Salihu. Barke Serene Salihu. Barke Serene Salihu. Barkay, Serene, Sally, who? Barkay, Serene, Sally, who? Did it, Jeff? Barkay, Serene, Sally, who? Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Juma Mubarak. Juma Kareem. Assalamu alaikum. Rahmatullah to the family of light. All praises. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh Sufibah. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh Mound Builder. All praises. Good to be in your presence this evening. It's a blessing. Sheikh Mound Builder, I hand it over to you, but I must ask before I do, what is this moon, Sheikh? It's been spicy out here. I literally just saw somebody try to run somebody off the road right before we opened up, right before class started. It's been a lot going on out here in the public. Astaghfirullah. That is just for these prayers. May Allah protect us. With Sheikh, the floor is yours. All praise. Astaghfirullah.
Alhamdulillah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi wa huwa al-aliyyul azim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladina an'amta alayhim. Ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Ameen, ameen, ameen. Juma Mubarak and Assalamu alaikum to everyone this evening. How's the family?
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Ameen.
Juma Mubarak.
Juma Mubarak, Juma Kareem. Assalamu alaikum. Very grateful to have the opportunity to be back for another presentation of Darrah on this Friday evening. Of course, we send out mega barakas to Sheikh Sufibah for his presence, for his work, for his example. And we send out barakas on Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba, Sheikh Ibrahim, Serene Falo, Serene Salihu, all of the great ones that have come forth in this Murid line, and certainly to all of the sheikhs, the Durans, the imams, disciples, and their families in our Darrah, especially during this time, this very, very sacred time, and this very historic week and week to come. Certainly thank Sheikh Mustafa for his always on point opening, raising the energy, and making this a place and a space for us to really hone in to that inner light within us, keeping us reminded of this weird of the butterfly, keeping us on pace with the thickers, and certainly continuing to be the king of Khidmah. So we give thanks to Sheikh Mustafa. Sheikh raised a question about this week. We just came out of the white days, as they are called, because they are the full light days of the moon that generally last about 3 days. That's the day before the technical full moon, then the full moon, and the day after, because it's still pretty bright. And for most of us, it's difficult to tell whether or not it's completely full or not. So all 3 of those days are known as the white days. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, would always fast during those white days. And so, of course, did Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba, peace be upon them both. Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba said that Prophet Muhammad was his inner reality. So there is obviously a connection and a unity between the two. But these white days, these fasting days, are days of purification, days for us to focus more on our inward process, our inner purification so that we can defeat these nafs that are cropping up all over the place and all around us. Sheikh Mustafa was talking about how this past week and the last few days in particular has been kind of crazy. One of the reasons for that is whenever there is a full moon, as we talked about, there is a heightening of the activity within the mind. The fluids that roll through the brain, the moon has a impact over these fluids that are within the body, and they become unbalanced in many instances, which is why it is a good time to fast so that we are not as affected by the pull and the tug during the time of these full moon days and full light days. What took place this past week is not only was it a full moon, it was what they call a super moon, which basically means that the light of the moon appears to be a lot brighter than a normal full moon would be. And it was also a blue moon, which means that you have two full moons in the same month. So that does not happen very often. In fact, the next blue moon for us will not occur until I think it's 2037. So we got a little while. This is significant because that's 14 years from now. All of these cycles are markers for us to be observant of and be aware of what's going on in the heavens, but even more importantly, what's going on within us. This full moon in the sign of Pisces is significant, and it causes much more chaotic activity. One, because Pisces is a water sign. Pisces would represent the 12th sign of the zodiac, which is what is called a sign of undoing. In the circle of the zodiac, as they call it, it's talking about our journey as beings and the cycles that we go through. The last cycle is symbolized by Pisces. It is often termed as the sign of undoing, or the house of undoing, or the house of sacrifice. That's what Pisces represent. So when that is imbalanced, particularly during the time of a full moon where that energy is heightened, then what you'll notice is people activity is not what it usually is. It's beyond the things that they would normally do. Then you couple that with the blue moon, and it's called a blue moon because, like I said, it's a full moon within the same month, but it's also called a blue moon because it doesn't happen very often. So what you will see during that time is things and events take place that doesn't normally happen. You'll see people doing things that they don't normally do. You'll see people acting out of the box. You would think that some of them have literally lost it, and we have seen that over these past few days. You will also see things in the weather that is different and somewhat unusual. I have family in Valdosta, Georgia, and this last hurricane that came up, it went right through Valdosta, Georgia. That's not something that they normally experience. But there was flooding there, there was outages there of power, and some of them just got their power on today, and some of them are still without power. But these are peculiar things that take place during this type of time And in this season of a moon in Pisces and where things are somewhat unbalanced. So that's what we're witnessing around us. The important thing for us to consider and to keep in mind is that La ilaha illallah, Allah is the only reality. Allah is the only focus. So despite what's taking place around us that is chaotic, we have to make sure that we hone in on that which is real and the only thing that is real, and keep our focus there as the madness goes on around us, because it will go on. Much of the world is not honing in to that which is real. They're honing in to the illusion. And lower mind certainly oftentimes create the illusion. The key with us again is full moon in Pisces during that time. We have to make sure that our thoughts do not work toward destroying what we have built. This is a time where we get down on ourselves. This is a time when we start looking more into and feeding more into and leaning more into a lot of the things that are negative, a lot of the things that lead us down a spiral where it's tough to build ourselves back up out of. This is a time where the lower nafs, the mind takes over, and we see everything as gloomy. We see the imperfections of ourselves, and we don't have the highest opinion of ourselves because we're not seeing ourselves in the highest light. That's what a full moon in Pisces represents. And then we begin to sacrifice ourselves, sacrifice the higher for the lower, when we're supposed to be sacrificing the lower self for the higher self and the highest realization. So the 12th sign, which is Pisces, always represents the reversal, where the head is now the tail and the tail is the head. We have to be mindful of that and aware of that. So when that starts taking place around us, we know where it's coming from and we know what's happening. And we know where best to place our attention and our focus so that we don't get caught up like the world gets caught up in a lot of the craziness that's going on around us. We could be like Sheikh Mustafa and just be the witness or the observer, see those events taking place and keep it moving, keep our focus on what we're supposed to be focusing on. So that's very, very important with respect to a lot of what's taking place right now and moving forward into this very, very, very sacred week and day coming up on Monday, well, here in the West, on Monday. Can anyone tell me what the significance is, what the day is, what's going on this coming Monday? Does anybody have any idea?
Magal.
Magal. I mean, it is the day of the Magal. So what is the Magal? Is that like some type of party?
Bismillah, Sheikh, Astaghfirullah. It's the celebration of Sheikh Bamba's exile, going to exile, inshallah.
I mean, the exile from Senegal. Obviously, because he was seen as a threat even though being a very peaceful person and going about his sacred work, the enemy still recognized his power and saw his power as a threat to what they wanted to implement and the control they wanted to have over the people. So in their minds, the only way to solve this problem is to get this man out of here. And then we'll be able to control the people once we're able to break him, remove him, get him out of the way permanently so that we can implement our plan. And we are here today because that plan was not successful. Man planned and Allah planned, and surely Allah is the best of planners. So through those efforts, those unsuccessful efforts, we now celebrate what is called the 18th of Safar, which, as Sheikh Mustafa mentioned, is the day of the Magal, the day we the day we celebrate and commemorate the exile from Senegal to Gabon. Interestingly enough, in the heat of all of this, this month is called Safar. And when I see the word Safar, it's funny how in the English language, it's very similar to the word suffer. Suffer and Safar. Very, very similar words. But there is suffering that takes place during this time. And it is best exemplified by our Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba being exiled from Senegal. That caused great suffering. It caused years of suffering for our Sheikh, for the family of Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba, the followers, and all who were connected with him and all that were in Senegal. So Safar and suffering certainly has a relationship. And this day of the 18th, which will be Monday here in the West, will be a day where we commemorate and celebrate the sacrifice that took place and the commitment to continue and endure during that sacrifice over many years. That's what we commemorate during the Magal. This is one of those, or perhaps the most sacred day in our Murid calendar, because without this process, Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba would not have reached the next station and the highest station that he reached. And certainly we make no distinction between all of Allah's prophets. We don't make distinction between those that brought messages and those who are saints and those who have come forth in many different forms, bearing aspects of the divine in their own way. In this order, we are certainly recognizing Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba because of the significance of his work, his suffering, and his devotion to Allah, to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, to endure what he endured for so long. We don't know of anyone who has written as many works as Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba. If anyone knows of someone who has, please chime in. We don't know of anyone who has been a subject of assassination attempts a few hundred times and was able to survive and thrive and continue moving forward on their path. We don't know of a person that was able to do that and endure that. These are superhuman feats that are beyond just physical ability. It takes something different. Like they say these days, you got to be built different in order to endure that type of suffering. And certainly the Kasaids helped, the chants and the thickers helped, the prayers helped, being in communication and visitation with divine beings certainly helped. All of that was helpful, but the person or the being themselves have to be able to hold, by Allah's grace, a certain amount of power to be able to overcome what our Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba overcame. It's also important because this is a modern day example. We have examples from 4,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, even older, thousands upon thousands of years ago, and stories of individuals who did magnificent things, great things, enormous feats. But to have someone that did this within reach of us, now none of us, I'm sure, is 100 years old, but it's still within reach of our lifetime where we can still verify the significance and the truth of these events that took place from a person that we still have a picture of. And we still have the example of the family and certainly those that came forth as his offspring. But this day is very, very important for us because it helps us in our effort to get back to the basics. The basics being prayer, dhikr, fasting, and the focus on Allah. That's what this day reminds us of. We often talk about holidays in the West, and some of them are called holy days, some of them are just holidays. But many people oftentimes remark, well, it's just one day of the year. That is true. And for many of the so-called holidays, we really don't need to be reminded of them because they're not really that important in the greater scheme of things. But then there are other days where we need to have at least one day where we just set aside and use that as a starting point from this day forward to recommit our focus to what we say that we are committed to. That's the way I look at it. I know many of you look at this 18th day of Safar because that's the day that we remember more intently what took place on this day and the suffering that proceeded forth from that day. And we're able to look at our lives and recommit ourselves to what's taking place around us, no matter what it looks like. And we're able to go through it because of the example that was given to us on this day, that took place on this day, and what happened after this day for years. So it's definitely an indication and a sign for us, even here in 2023, as we move forward in the energy of this celebration and commemoration. Does anybody have any thoughts or comments about that? I don't want to be too wordy. Well, this Monday, starting this weekend, let me take that back, this weekend, there will be celebration and gatherings taking place in the great city of Tuba, Philadelphia. So those of us who are able to are certainly encouraged to make way to get there, if possible, to be in Philly. And those that are close by, those who can make a way to do it, it would be good to be in the presence of one who sat with one, who sat with and was in the presence of Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba. And of course, we're speaking of Sheikh Sufi Ba. So this is a great opportunity for us to be in a space with someone who has experienced that light and has drawn light from that light and has helped to illuminate so many others. And my hand is certainly raised as a result of that. So that is taking place on this weekend. It's just a reminder for us to make the commitment to be present if that is at all possible. And even if that is not possible, to remember and commemorate the work of Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba and to remember him by feeding the hungry, remember him by making the commitment to memorize on this day of Safar and the days and weeks to follow, to memorize at least one more Qasa'id. Memorize at least one more Qasa'id from Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba. That would be a great gift during this time and to commit ourselves to on this 18th of Safar. So those are two things. I know there'll be many others, but those are two that just come to mind that we can make the commitment to do moving forward from that point on. Now, what I want to talk about also is, in light of what has taken place and what we're celebrating and remembering with this day of Safar, the idea and the concept of being challenged, suffering, going through ordeals, sometimes trials and tribulations. That is certainly a part of our path. And the Quran speaks to that as well. It speaks to different trials and tribulations that we will go through moving forward. And it also speaks to how those of us who are believers will be tested with trials. This is important because many times when we think of our path, we think of, ease. We think that since we are doing the work of Allah, and since we are working to stay on the path, then we don't have to worry about trials and tribulation, or we get a pass from trials because we're doing our prayers, we're doing our thikkers, we're making the right intentions, we're doing all the right things. But in reality, that ain't necessarily so. There's a difference between punishment that we end up experiencing, sometimes inflicting on ourselves, and the trials that Allah gives us so that we can overcome those trials and make it to the next station. Two different things. So here, on this page, we're looking at some quotes from the Quran that actually speak to trials, tribulations, testing that takes place while we're on our path. And one of them says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, so verily with the hardship, there is relief. That's speaking to after we endure a certain amount of hardship, relief comes to us. That's a cycle as well. But first we have to go through something to get to the other side and experience the relief. Another quote from the Quran, which is very popular, Alif Lam Mim, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Do people think that they will be left alone because they say we have faith and will not be tested? And we indeed tested those who were before them, and Allah will certainly make known those who are true, and will certainly make known those who are liars. So part of this process that we go through is to determine our resolve, our irada, our will to overcome. And if we're really making the commitment to overcome and to really be a part of this process, to raise our station and to be the example that Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba set for us, if we're really about that, then we will overcome the things that come in our path. Very, very important. The last quote from the Quran says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, on no soul doth Allah place a burden greater than it can bear. So that's telling us whatever challenges that we're experiencing, we are bigger, we are stronger, we are better than those challenges, because that we, or that I that I'm speaking about, is Allah within us, able to overcome any and all obstacles that are set before us. And by overcoming those obstacles, it strengthens our faith and our resolve to move forward. There's something, though, about physical suffering that produces spiritual elevation. That's very, very key for us to grasp. The lower self has to go through something for the higher self to rise. We see this example throughout the Bible, throughout the Quran, throughout the spiritual traditions and customs and writings of all our spiritual systems, where there's always a going through, a crossing over, like the word Hebrew, meaning one who is crossed over. And in order to cross over or to get through or to get by or to get around, you have to go through something. And you have to be severely pushed to your limit physically in order for you to spiritually overcome it. Much of the tests that we see that are physically challenging cannot be overcome physically. There's something that we have to tap into within us. And that something is who? That something is Allah. We have to connect with that and lean completely into that in order to overcome a lot of what's coming at us. So if we try and get through by physical strength alone, by lower self and ego alone, we ain't gonna get but so far. We have to really utilize the power that we have been given, which is why the tools have been given to us. It's why we've been given the Qasides. It's why we've been given the chants. It's why we've been given the surahs from the Quran. It's why we've been given the Sunnah, the Hadith. It's why we've been given these things so that we can overcome what comes at us and keep it moving. But as we're tested physically, our spirit rises. We see this in examples all around us. We talk about the Bible, we talk about the Quran, we talk about the many, many prophets. Abram had to go through something before he became Abraham. David had to go through Goliath, but he also had to go through the idea of being anointed a king, and Saul was king while David was anointed as king, but he had to go through and endure tests and trials before he actually got to that point. We go and we look at what happened with Jonah. He had to go through the belly of the whale and to be in the well and then come out of the well. That was his going through. We know the prophet that we call Job, what he had to go through, the many trials and tests that he had to endure in order to receive greater after going through those trials than he had before he went through the trials. But not only is it true for the prophets and the divine men and women of our history, it's also true for our history. If we really take a look at the inventions that have come into being, it's generally a condition where the need was so great and people were so downtrodden at their wits' end. And as a result of that, an idea of illumination emerged in somebody's mind and they get an inspiration. And that inspiration turns into a remedy for whatever it is that society was suffering from. If you look at those who have reached the highest heights athletically, most of them they came from very, very impoverished situations where this is my way out and I got to put everything into this in order for me to get out. There are people that are able to take advantage of this type of condition and then benefit from what takes place after that. But it's as a result of being in that condition that your very, very best ends up coming forth. And like we said earlier, it's not physical. It's going to the depths of yourself as a result of being forced there so that you can bring up your highest self and your highest quality going through that process. So this same example applies to music, athletics, anything that is of significance where a person has reached a very high height. If you look at it, they had to go through some stuff to actually arrive at that place. Very, very important concept. Does anybody have any comments or questions about that? As we continue this journey here. If not, then we're going to move forward. And what I want to talk about now is still on the same theme, talking about struggle, tests, trials, moving forward. Now, I was always fascinated when I first learned about these individuals. There's a certain thing called marathon monks. Has anybody ever heard of marathon monks? Know what marathon monks are? Anybody familiar with that?
No, sir.
I mean, well, I guess we are about to find out tonight. I find this interesting because it's a real good example of what we were just talking about in terms of overcoming tests and trials. The marathon monks are individuals who go on a 7-year challenge. It's called a 1,000-day challenge, but it takes place over the course of 7 years. And it's a test of endurance, physical endurance, spiritual endurance, and otherworldly endurance. Now, to tell you what I'm talking about, this is what they have to do. The first year, for 100 straight days, they have to run 18 miles. That's what, about 6, 7 miles, 8 miles short of a marathon. They have to do 18 miles running every single day for 100 days. Not only that, but they have a hat that they have on, and they're not allowed to take the hat off. They're not allowed to take their robe off. But they have to run 18 miles every day, and then they have to stop at certain sites to make prayer, to give offerings, to bless people along the path, because there are people that ask for a blessing as they're doing their 18 miles or what have you. Think about this, for 100 straight days, 18 miles a day. In addition to that, they're doing this they have bare feet, and then they have straw on the bottom of their feet. So their little sandals is made of straw. They will go through about 5 of those in one day because the straw is so thin. 18 miles every day. If you sprain your ankle, you turn your knee, 18 miles every day. This is the commitment that they have to endure. That's the first year. Second year, they have to run 18 miles for 100 straight days as well. Then they have to do the same thing the third year. So each year for 100 straight days, they have to run 18 miles every day, as well as making their stops and visiting holy sites, etc. And this is in mountain terrain. So this is not, a flat course, mountain terrain. The fourth year, they have to run 18 miles a day for 200 straight days. This is absolutely ridiculous. 200 straight days, you're running 18 miles. But it doesn't stop there. The fifth year, they run 18 miles for 200 straight days. Then after running 18 miles for 200 straight days, they have to complete 9 consecutive days without food, without water, and without rest. And they have 2 monks that are with them, one on each side of them, throughout this process so that they don't fall asleep. You got to stay up. And so that you don't fall over. This is for 9 straight days after running 18 miles for 200 straight days. That's year 5. In the 6th year, they have to run 37 miles for 100 straight days. Think about that. That's a marathon and a half every day. And you've seen somebody after a marathon, they like pass out, they're done. And it takes them weeks to recover. 37 miles every single day for 100 straight days. Then in year 7, it just gets more ridiculous. They have to run 52 miles every day for 100 straight days. This, many people will look at as completely impossible. And it's tough to even imagine how something like that is possible. Now, once you start this is the kicker. You have the first 100 days to decide, basically when you set out on this journey, you got to commit to making this journey through completion. There is no almost made it on this particular journey. Within the first 100 days, if you decide, that you got to walk away, then you can walk away within the first 100 days. At day 101, after 100 days, once you have committed to this process for 100 straight days, and you did the 18 miles for 100 straight days, there is no stopping. You got to go through the whole process. Because on the 101st day, you have a knife and a rope. And if you're not able to continue, then you are expected to end your life. Because this is a journey where you either finish or you're finished. Within the last 200 years, only 46 people have been able to complete this journey. And one of the fascinating things is one person did it twice in their lifetime. The reason why I'm bringing this example up, this is a very, very, very extreme example. This is an example, like I spoke of earlier, where this is not physically possible. There's something else that has to take over, and take over very quickly, in order for you to finish and endure a test and a trial like this. Now, I bring that up because we're on a journey. We're on a path. We're running our own marathon, our own Murid marathon. And we have certain markers. Like every day when they're running the race, they got to be at a certain marker by a certain time. We have certain markers and places that we have to arrive at in an assigned period of time on this journey of Tasawwuf, this journey of oneness into oneness. And we have commitments as well. We've made the commitment to run this race and to be a part of this process, just like the example that I gave you. In order for a person to finish that 7-year process and 1,000-day journey, they have to have concentration, focus, devotion, willpower, the divine working through them. All of that's necessary for them to be successful in that journey. That's the same process that it takes for us to be successful where we are, running this path, moving through the different obstacles that we have to get through. Same type of concentration is required of us. I brought up this example of the marathon monks because that's an example of our race. Looking at it, it looks to be impossible, completely impossible. Looking at where we've come from, our journey also looks to be impossible. Thinking scientifically of where we started from as a single sperm cell and arriving at the place where we are now in 2023, it's been an unbelievable journey. This 100-day journey mirrors the journey and the cycle of life, the things that we have to go through and overcome, the impossible circumstances that we're faced with, the difficult hurdles that we have to go over. And sometimes we have to go under and around just to get to the other side. This is an example of what that represents, because each day that these marathon monks are going through their process, they're not doing it for them. They're praying for all of us on the journey. That's an example of what's taking place within our Morid order. We're running and we're going through our difficult obstacles, but we have those who have come before us, who have prayed for us, who have left tools for us, who have put forth effort so that we don't have to feel as if something is not possible. Because if we're leaning into the divine within us, that is us, all things are possible. When Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba went in exile on the 18th of Safar and endured assassinations attempts over and over and over and over again, torture over and over and over and over and over again. He was praying, he was fasting, he was enduring, but it just was not for him. It was for us coming forth after him. That was and is the journey. That's why this day is so important, because of that symbolic gesture of not just looking at self, but looking at those coming behind self, which is an extension of self. But in addition to that, there was no situation for him where he can say, I almost made it. Once he started this journey, he had to finish it. We don't get the victory for almost getting there. Or we don't get the prize for putting forth a good effort. He had to make sure that with all of the life force that he had, he endured until the end, so that we can get the prize, and so that he can rise to the highest station that he rose to. The example for us is, in order to get from where we are to where we're destined to be, we have to continue to endure, overcome the obstacles, and don't get down on ourselves. Don't beat ourselves up. Don't beat ourselves down. Yes, there are challenges. Yes, there are things that don't go according to plan. Yes, we sometimes find ourselves in places that we don't want to be. But alhamdulillah in all situations, because we are the victorious ones. We must succeed because the example before us and the example that is us succeeded. So the script is already written. We just have to go through the process to see the realization of the outcome that we already know what the outcome is. This is all helping us to get a clearer picture, hopefully, of the significance of this day coming up on Monday, the 18th of Safar, and what was endured and what is being endured now on our part, so that we can be and realize the best version of ourselves as we move into our highest divine state. I want to open up the floor for questions and comments.
Bismillah, Sheikh. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Astaghfirullah. That is just beautiful lecture this evening, inshallah. Could you possibly give us a qasad or a couple qasads? That would be good. You said to memorize a qasad during this time. Would be good. Do you have any to suggest, inshallah? Astaghfirullah.
Certainly, by Allah's grace. I don't have any suggestions at all, but Sheikh Sufi certainly has given us these suggestions that I'm certainly in agreement with. How can I be in anything but? But Sheikh Sufi said that we should memorize the Qasad, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim. And we should memorize the Qasad, Astaghfirullah bihi. I think that those two, well, I know that those two would be good places to start.
Good adjustment. Alhamdulillah. May I add a brief note?
By all
Bismillah.
means.
Astaghfirullah. Bismillah. Hold up, wait a minute. We put some Bamba in it real quick. Astaghfirullah. Sheikh Sufi taught us that Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba has his qasads come in three different forms, which is before the exile, during the exile, and after the exile, and they have three different power levels, inshallah. Just throwing that tidbit out there. Stuff like that. The first one is the power of the wali, second is the power of the angels, and the third is the power of the prophets. I believe, inshallah, the Sheikh could correct, inshallah, the name mistakes and stuff.
Ameen. Beautiful point. Beautiful point. Anyone else?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
I want to say this was the best talk I've heard on the Magal in English in a long time, brother.
Alhamdulillah.
So for me, it's a blessing to see other people in our family who are able to speak on the traditions of Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba, Khadim Rasul, because you don't find this teaching in English about the Magal anywhere except in our Darrah. You will not find this. So Sheikh Idris Ba, 786 Bismillahs for you, and this teaching was incredible. We hope that all disciples, wherever you are, can participate in the Magal. Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba says, wherever you are on the 18th of Safar, when this day comes, celebrate and glorify Allah, praise Allah for me going into exile. And this is different than what you see in most spiritual leaders or political leaders. Usually the community will celebrate when the sheikh or the leader comes back from exile, like, oh, he made it back. They exiled him out of America. He made it back to America. We celebrate him coming back to America. Sheikh Ahmadou was exiled from Senegal for 7 years. And he taught us to celebrate the day he was exiled, not the day he returned, because like Sheikh Idris said, if he didn't go into exile to get the station of Khadim Rasul, then none of us would be here today. So for the disciples of Sheikh Ahmadou, this is actually the most important celebration of the year. My sheikh used to say, I know some of y'all might not want to hear this, but I'm going to give you some West African super teachings. My sheikh used to say all the time, disciples took bayat the same day. Whoever put more effort into celebrating the Magal was higher than the other one. He used to say that all the time. Whatever effort you put into celebrating the exile of Sheikh Ahmadou can be a sign of your station of elevation. So we ask you, wherever you are, if you're in Cincinnati, Ohio, they're celebrating the Magal. African braiding shop with Senegalese people, you can find out. Chicago, Illinois, they celebrating the Magal. Detroit, Michigan, they celebrating the Magal. 2 or 3 places in California, they celebrating the Magal. Definitely Atlanta, Georgia, celebrating the Magal. New York City and Harlem gonna be off the chain with the Magal. Here in Philadelphia, we'll be celebrating with the community of the Senegalese disciples. It's gonna be off the chain in Philadelphia. Where else did I mention? Ohio, Kentucky, Illinois, Detroit. So if you can, Richmond, Virginia, oh, they be going Bamba community in Richmond, Virginia. We actually have a flyer for Richmond, Virginia. Also Raleigh, North Carolina. Check out the Bamba community in Raleigh. Everybody will be celebrating this. If you're in Europe, they're celebrating it in France, Germany, Italy, and Spain. I'm telling you, it's big. It's big. It's worldwide. So Sheikh Ahmadou says basically on the day of the Magal, 3 orders came. 1 is cook food and feed people. 2, read some verses of Quran, do some zikr and qasides. That's really 3 things. Quran, zikr, qasides. But then he said 3, someone should give a talk of being thankful to Allah. A sign of shukr and thanksgiving to Allah. You could almost say that the Magal is a form of African giving thanks to Allah for the exile of Sheikh Ahmadou because it's celebrated by 1, feeding people. Now, I know the vegetarians don't want to hear this, but Sheikh Ahmadou said on his day, sacrifice an animal from a chicken to a camel. Sacrifice an animal from a chicken to a camel. We just got a call from Senegal with the brothers in the car to see the cow. Thank Allah, our Darrah sent donations to sacrifice a cow in Tuba this year. Did y'all see the cow? So we just got a call from Tuba to see the cow. We also sent the donation for 4 sheep. 4 sheep in Senegal. Now, our intention is to buy at least 1 sheep here in Philadelphia on Monday. It's not too late if you want to send in the donation to help. Matter of fact, we already have enough money for 1 sheep in Philly. If we bring in any other donations, it will be to buy a 2nd sheep. Now, let me show you the despairingness. In Senegal, you buy a sheep for about $80. America, that sheep gonna cost us about $285. It's the matrix. So anyway, sacrifice an animal from a sheep to a camel, cook it, give it away. If you cannot cook good food, don't give nobody no nasty food. Buy some food and give it to people. Another thing that counts is If you're not able to go out and feed in the community, make a nice dinner for your family and just tell them one story about Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba. That counts as a Magal too. Celebrate with your families, celebrate with communities if you can. If you're not able to sacrifice a chicken to a sheep, you can send a donation to Sheikh Sufi to sacrifice here in Philadelphia. We are going to sacrifice at least one lamb. We would like to sacrifice 2 here in Philly. Or if we don't get enough for a second lamb, whatever comes in, the halal place, they have chicken that we can sacrifice too. The importance of this day cannot be understood by new disciples. It may take you 5 years to understand the value. It took me forever. I just thought the Magal was just a big celebration, but it's very significant that we put effort into celebrating this day of exile. Anyway, Sheikh Idris gave a good presentation. I have 4 videos in English, thank Allah. Sheikh Abdullah Farmi, I asked him this year to send me some videos in English about the celebration of the Magal. He sent me 4 short videos, about 5 or 6 minutes each. Tonight, I'll make my intention to upload his videos on the Magal celebration and Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba. But I want to say, I can't say other than myself, but this presentation tonight from Sheikh Idris was the best talk I've heard in English in America from anyone I can think of in years. So, alhamdulillah. Does anybody have any questions about the celebration of the Magal?
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh and family.
Detroit, where you at, Sheikh? You in St. Louis? They definitely celebrating the Magal in St. Louis.
I was just about to say, I got invited to 2 celebrations from one among the Moorids, and the Tijanis are celebrating the Magal of Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba as well.
The Tijanis are I'm not surprised, man, because
yeah.
a lot of Tijanis, I mean, in Tuba, every Sufi order sends representatives to Tuba. We ain't got there yet, fam. Where are we at? Okay, I thought it was 6 minutes away. I don't know.
We didn't really say you want to go to the one that had that closed at 10.
Okay. All right. So go ahead, brother. What were you saying?
So no, I was just saying that the Tijanis, I got invited to a Tijani. I met a Tijani while I was out. He saw my beads, walked right up to me, and we became friends immediately. And I saw him the other day, and he said, I wanted to contact you to invite you to the Magal celebration for Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba. So,
wow.
Of course, we know Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba was a Tijani as well, so it's not, a far-fetched thing that they were celebrating. So, alhamdulillah.
And in, I think it's over there. In the holy city, I don't know where it's at. Let me stop pointing. But in the holy city of Tuba, I'm glad you brought that up. Padria, Tijani, Shadaliya, every Sufi order in Senegal sends representatives to the holy city of Tuba for the Magal. So, and a lot of disciples, a lot of descendants of the Prophet Muhammad's family come from Mauritania. Sheikh Farmi called me today from the Khalifa's house in Tuba, and there's a sheikh from Mauritania who was asking about me, who I hadn't seen in a while, but he's a great sheikh from Mauritania. They called me today, and I got to do my ziyarah and greet them. And this sheikh is from the Prophet Muhammad's family, but he's at the Khalifa's house in Tuba with Sheikh Farmi right now from Mauritania. So alhamdulillah, just to say thank you, Sheikh Fard, that other Sufi orders are celebrating Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba on this day, which will be Monday worldwide. Sister Tosby in Chicago, they're going in for the Magal for sure. Brother Jamil, California, they're getting it. Sheikh Azima Love Fire in the West End. In Atlanta, Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba's people gonna be turning it up. For sure in Florida, but I'm not sure where. But anyone who can make it to Tuba, Philadelphia, may Allah bless you. Sister Aisha Sadiqwa, Richmond, Virginia, they going in for the Magal. Wow, we got most of the states represented that's having the Magal. Ain't that amazing? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 disciples here in Philadelphia with us right now.
I mean,
Hold on. All right, any other questions or comments?
Beloved Sheikh, is in addition to the recommendations from you that Sheikh Idris just gave us, do you have any additional recommendations of Qasides, like maybe the ones he wrote when he first went into exile, which is the point I think the Sheikh Mustafa was mentioning, because of those, is there something to that part of it where when he first left and he began to write Qasides, is there some significance that you may have on that?
Well, he mentioned Astaghfirullah bihi and Ya Rahman Ya Rahim.
Yes, sir.
If you wanted to add, I mean, definitely Astaghfirullah bihi, Ya Rahman Ya Rahim is short. If you can read the entire Sindidi, that's great. It's a Qaside for dua. And then anybody who has time can read some of Muhaibul Nafi, but I don't expect everyone to read the entire Muhaibul Nafi. Read some of Muhaibul Nafi. If you can recite Kul Hu Allahu Ahad, Allahu Samad, Lam Yalid wa Lam Yulad wa Lam Yakul Lahu Kufuwan Ahad, because on the day of the Magal, it's recommended to recite as much Quran as possible, so you can use that surah as many times, 33, 66. Astaghfirullah, I'll probably recite it 200 times that day just for the blessing. But make sure you read some Quran on that day. Read the Qasides to the best of your ability, especially Astaghfirullah bihi. Anyone who has time, 100 Salat al-Fatih on the Magal as a gift to Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba ain't never hurt nobody. So increase your acts of worship because, in Tuba, the angel Jibril comes in Tuba and lands on Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba's grave on the day of the Magal. It's so holy. Yeah, I said it on camera. The days in heaven are all the same. But when the Magal of Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba comes on earth, the celebration is so glorified that the people in heaven know that it's Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba's day on earth. We will give another talk about this Magal on Sunday, inshallah. Sunday at 11 a.m., we will be talking about the Magal. Sheikh Idris Ba, you know how I know you're a real Sheikh of Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba?
No, Sheikh.
You will not find a Sheikh from Tuba in this time period where we are. Every Sheikh in Tuba are talking about the Magal right now. That's the topic. So when you started speaking on the Magal of Tuba, I was like, he plugged in. We got some real Sheikhs over here. I don't give a F what nobody say. Praise Allah. Y'all got it.
Alhamdulillah.
All right,
for
let
you,
me get
Sheikh.
off.
Alhamdulillah for you.
Alhamdulillah for you and the other light beings in our order. We're going to go in here and celebrate with the Muslims in this halal store right now, inshallah. The brothers are like, Sheikh, get off this camera. We're ready to go eat. So look in your area. If you can't make it to Philadelphia, look in your city. Go to one of the, I'm telling you, in all the cities I named, they're getting it in on Monday. All right. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Wa alaikum salam.
Alaikum salam.
Wa alaikum salam. Wa alaikum salam. Love and life.
Wa alaikum salam.
Wa alaikum salam.
Bismillah. Cheikh, you want to close us out with Al-Fatiha, inshallah? Anybody want to close us out with Al-Fatiha? Astaghfirullah.
Bismillah, I could close us out, beloved, with Astaghfirullah bihi and Al-Fatiha.
Alhamdulillah, Sheikh Fadil, Sheikh.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Astaghfirullah al-Azim wa atubu ilayhi min zawahiri wa min ghuyub. Astaghfirullah al-Azim wa atubu ilayhi min zawahiri wa min ghuyub. Tutuhu bahaki wa tilahi. Akbirata min jumlatil manahi. Tutulahu min jumlatil sabairi. Hal kabairi wa min damairi. Gafiru likbikul imata karama wa ma takura wa ma bainahuma. I am the Ali Mawazini Yoma wa Hamala Mabadan wa Fama wa Rabbi Ali Chifu Hulama Nafiha. Astaghfirullah.
Jal Hayati, Astaghfirullah.
Oh, I'm sorry, because you all here, I must have lost signal. My bad. Astaghfirullah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin ar-Rahman ar-Rahim Maliki Yawmiddin Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in ihdinas siratal mustaqim siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghayril maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma ya Qur'an salli ala sayyidina Muhammad fatihin al-mughliqa wa katimin al-musabaqa nasir al-haqi wa haqi wa hadi ila siratika mustaqim wa ala alihi wa qadrihi wa miqdarihi al-azim. Barke Sheikh Sufi Bar, 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 Barke Sheikh Sufi Bar. Assalamu alaikum, family.
Wa alaikum salam. Give thanks, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum
Sheikh.
salam.